Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumo, and it's great to be on this show where we discuss all things books. Well, before we dive into today's main event, if I may use that expression, we've got our main guest waiting on the wings. But can you remember Things Fall Apart? That legendary, iconic book written by Chinua Achebe, 1958. That's way, way back. Achebe was just 28 years old, by the way, when he wrote that, his magnum opus. Incredible work, shook the entire world. Millions and millions of copies translated into multiple languages around the world, read by people in universities across continents, high schools across continents, and so on. What a great book Things Fall Apart turned out to be. Really great book, changing the entire literary landscape for Africa, and even beyond. Incredible book. Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart was published 67 years ago. And recently, some people decided that is worth celebrating because over about 1 week, all around at different events, different places, just a celebration of the incredible work of Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart 67 years after. Yeah, just a few pictures here and there, just to give you a sense of how it went. Enjoy this. Up next is this book I'm holding in my hand titled Mastering Diplomacy, The Essential Guide to International Relations. Diplomacy is such an important subject. In my opinion, diplomacy keeps the world spinning. It's a world where we have so many wars and conflicts, but diplomats really do a lot to help us keep the world together. So, who are diplomats? What is diplomacy? What are the protocols and etiquettes that guide them? And so many other interesting related questions. I will leave our guest author for this week to explain this and introduce us to this book, which is a must read for anybody who is either a professional or a layman like myself who just wants to get very educated. Let's meet with her and then enjoy the conversation around this book, Mastering Diplomacy.
Ambassador Eniola Ajayi is a diplomat, politician, optometrist, and author. She holds a Doctor of Optometry degree from the University of Benin and a Master of Philosophy in Ocular Pathology from the University of London. She was a Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology and Environment in Ekiti State. Eniola Ajayi has served as Nigeria's ambassador to Hungary, Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the Netherlands. She also represented Nigeria at the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW. Eniola Ajayi joins Channels Book Club to discuss her book, Mastering Diplomacy.
Madam Ambassador, nice to have you on Channels Book Club.
It's nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
I like the ring, Madam Ambassador. I love it.
What
Well
do you
done,
like
thank
about
you.
it?
Yeah, that just sounds very, very distinguished regal. Nice. Thank you for your service to Nigeria over the years.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And well done. Mastering Diplomacy, the essential guide to international relations. When I picked up your book, I knew very little about diplomacy, but reading this, I think I'm ready to be a diplomat now.
Yeah. And you are definitely fit to be a diplomat.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you. Hearing that. Thank you. So let's before we dive in, what inspired you to write this?
Okay. In precisely January 12, 2017, I was at an event for Southwest women in politics, and we were somewhere on Okwebi. And my phone started ringing and buzzing, text messages coming in. And I was like, what's going on? So I stepped out and I called back one of them. And the guy, Mr. Olofin, said to me, your name has just been read on the floor of the Senate to be an ambassador, that you've just been appointed, and the ambassador from Ekiti State. I was shocked because I didn't even know my name was sent at all. So having been appointed ambassador that will go through the screening, of course I prepared for the screening and all. It was easy to do that. But when it came to what does it mean to be an ambassador, what would be required of me? Of course they gave us some training for like a week or two, but it doesn't actually prepare you. So what I did was I went to my political mentor, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, that could you like get me somebody who can take me through the rudiments of how to be a good ambassador? And he introduced me to Ambassador Ajayi. He was ambassador to Australia before. And he took me on 2 intensive sessions of what to expect on the journey. And also, there was an accidental meeting with one ambassador in one of the offices in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where he began to tell me, don't do this, or don't do that. Make sure you do this while you're on your journey. That was the most I got in terms of getting ready to become an ambassador. The other bit which I mustn't lose sight of is that as a Christian, I spoke to the Lord about this thing. And he said to me, Eniola, you need to pay attention to inclusion, investment, and image building for your country. I said, very good. So I knew that, okay, I had my vision cut out for me from day one, but then I still needed to know what to do while on the journey. I knew you would present your letter of credence, but I didn't know that you'll have a vin de nom after that. That means you gather Nigerians, notable Nigerians in that country, and your colleagues, the diplomats that you're just meeting. That place prepares you to say hello to them and to present yourself, basically. I didn't know that. So it was while on the journey, I began to discover things that I felt, I wish somebody had like documented a few of these things for people like me who just suddenly becomes an ambassador without any formal training. You know, there are career ambassadors and there are non-career ambassadors. This book is like a manual of what to do and what to expect on the journey. It's also good for even lay people who want to know a bit more about diplomacy, and even aspiring diplomats, people that are young in the profession. Because even though I served Nigeria for 2 consecutive terms as an ambassador, it means that I know a bit more than somebody who's just gone to the Foreign Service Academy. So that was what inspired me to document. And luckily for me, I didn't have any blemish on my career as an ambassador. I didn't even have any trouble with the Nigerian community in the places I served. So it sort of qualified me to be able to say that this is how to do it. So that's why I wrote the book.
What a story.
Thank you.
You were surprised in 2017 because before then you had been an
Optometrist and an ocular pathologist, yes.
Wow. So you, like you said, you didn't see it coming at all.
No, I didn't.
Incredible story.
Thank you.
Is that a common story? Is that?
It's not a common story. but it's common for where I came from, where I come from. That's Ekiti. Our political leaders in Ekiti, they're a different breed entirely. Honestly, they try to fit round pegs into round holes, and they try to like promote other people who are up and coming. It's a very sane place to serve, because I had served as Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology in Ekiti. I had served as Commissioner for Environment. I had also been given the opportunity to contest for House of Representatives in 2015. So it's a place where if you are hardworking and you give a good account of yourself, you have the opportunity to advance. So in Ekiti, for the kind of leaders I have, Adebayo, Fayemi, and co, up till the current governor, Biodun Abayomi Oyebanji, they're not people that you need to go and do anything to be able to get anything. So it's not a common story, but it's common where I come from.
Interesting. So you served in Hungary.
Yes.
And then you served in the Netherlands.
Yes.
Just very briefly, because we need to dig into this. So
Yeah.
I mean, in a very general sense, what were those experiences like for you?
Very interesting experiences, really, because when I was in Hungary, I was also accredited to Bosnia and Herzegovina, to Croatia and Serbia. So I was still the ambassador to those countries.
What do you mean by accredited?
It's concurrent accreditation. So I got to present my letter of credence to the president of Hungary, to the president of Croatia, to the president of Serbia, and to the chairman of the presidency of Bosnia and Herzegovina, because it's not one president.
Yeah,
they rotate their presidency every 9 months. So it's whoever is president at the time that you want to present that you get to present to. So if you are not fortunate, the name on your letter of credence may have changed to another president by the time you are ready to present. So you have to write back to Nigeria for them to change that name for you to be able to present. So that was me covering for 4 countries while I was in Hungary. It was nice because I had the majority of people that I had in my constituency, they were students, especially in Hungary. And me and students were like, there are people that I naturally gravitate towards, that I look out for. Raising children, helping young people to find themselves and be the best they can be, is like my life's mission. It's something that comes naturally to me. So in Hungary, they didn't call me ambassador. They called me mommy. They didn't call me excellency. They called me mommy. And it was a title that I wore with pride. So I went to their graduation ceremonies. I was there for them. So it was nice in that sense that I was like a mother to so many. But in Netherlands, it was a bit different, because I was posted only to the Netherlands, but 5 other international organizations, like the Common Fund for Commodities, Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, International Criminal Court, International Court of Justice, and Permanent Court of Arbitration. So I was doing bilateral and multilateral diplomacy. It was very nice in Netherlands because, number one, the society is very enlightened and exposed. So you didn't feel the color of your skin in the Netherlands. You were free. And then the multilateral organizations, I just found myself thriving and earning the respect of my colleagues. I got to be made chairperson of the Executive Council of the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons for the 99th session. And to the glory of God, I did well. And then I also became the chairperson of the Governing Council for Common Fund for Commodities. For it was a place where I would say my talent began to bloom. Thank you.
Mastering diplomacy is, I see it as a manual, a comprehensive manual, A to Z of diplomacy. And you're very detailed there. You defined terms, terminologies, acronyms. You described protocols, how to eat, how to dress, how to set the table, how to address people. Um, Everything is here from A to Z. I would like you to describe, I mean, I've described it the way I read it, but I'd like you to describe it to viewers.
Okay.
What will they find in here?
In the book. Thank you very much. First, they will find a foreword by my former minister, His Excellency Geoffrey Oyema. And they will also find another chapter, because I want to say that before I go into the rest of the book. They'll find a chapter, chapter 16, written by the current Minister of Foreign Affairs on the Nigeria's foreign policy. So if you were wondering, what's the foreign policy of Nigeria? You would see it in this book, because it was written by the authority himself. And of course, you will find the one I wrote in chapter 15 about the different, articulating foreign policy generally. What does foreign policy mean? What does it mean to different countries? And we gave a few examples of some African countries and other countries that you may want to know what informs the way they conduct their international relations. So that's it. Then the introduction is about diplomacy. For example, what is diplomacy? The practice of conducting negotiations and managing international relations between nations. So the art and science of international relations is diplomacy. So you find, first of all, the definition of diplomacy, the history, a brief history of how it emerged, how long it's been. You will find it at the early stages. And then, like you said, you will also find a chapter on etiquette and how to set table, how to hold your glass, how to propose a toast, and that kind of stuff you will find. And then you will go on to understanding how to do presentations of your letter of credence, what you are required to say, and that kind of stuff. And then what you do subsequently, how that when you go and present that letter, is usually followed by a meeting with maybe the trade organization of that nation, how you must be prepared and all that. Who will accompany you, your spouse. During COVID, how only spouses were allowed. They couldn't let you bring in a crowd anymore, that kind of stuff. And then you go to aspects on international organizations like the United Nations. What informed the formation of the United Nations after the Second World War? You will get to understand some international organizations.
Yes, there's a long
like
list of 51 lists.
Yes,
51.
but I only took time to showcase the one at least I worked with. That's Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. OPCW, yes, OPCW. You will get to see a bit about WTO, World Trade Organization, even WHO, and so on and so forth. So you learn a bit about international organizations. Then you learn a bit about soft power, which was what I used a lot while I was ambassador. I took a cultural troop to Budapest in 2019. I took the same troop who won even internationally. I took them to the Netherlands in 2023. I showcased Nigeria through what you call soft power. And that was what informed my doing 4 other publications while I was on my tour of duty for over 6 years. I did the first one was Nigeria Land of Opportunities. I did another one on arts, culture, and tourism. I did another publication on food cuisine in Nigeria. And then I did the last publication in 2023, which was Nigeria at a glance. Everything you need to know about Nigeria. Their currency, the languages we speak, the hotels, the tourist attractions, the markets in Nigeria, common phrases in Nigeria, everything you need to know about Nigeria, the history of television, history of newspapers, of photography, I put in Nigeria at a glance. So that was me showcasing Nigeria to the world. So that also, I just mentioned a bit in the book. And if anybody wants to know more about those things, the link to those publications are actually on the website of the Embassy of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in The Hague. Because I gave it as like a gift to Nigeria. I even gave my colleagues the permission to reproduce them with their own commentary at the beginning, using the same thing. And I remember one of my colleagues in India at the time did the publication for his own embassy. So because I did it with the mind that any Nigerian embassy can use it.
All these things you wrote here, particularly with regards to the diplomat's role and etiquettes. Was there a time in your experience, being new to the whole thing, was there a time you goofed? Can you share an experience where
no,
was there anyone? No, did you have any experience at all?
I won't call it goof. I would just say is something that up till today I have to be conscious about. And that's to take the napkin from the table and put it on your lap before you start eating. Many times I just put the napkin aside and I start eating. And then I remember that, this is the napkin.
How important is that? I mean, is it?
It's actually important, but not that important. Okay. It's like you are the one risking your own outfit.
What you're wearing.
Yeah, because you could soil it. But it also shows that maybe you're not that polished.
You're not polished enough.
enough to remember that the first thing you pick from the table is the napkin.
So if I go to a diplomatic circle and maybe have dinner with diplomats, it's likely most of them will do that.
Yeah, immediately. Once they sit down, if you are not sitting down, it's fine. But once you sit down, the first thing you pick, even if you not started eating, is the napkin. You put it. And you put it by like folding a bit of it outwards, so that if you drop anything, you just pull it and cover it. That kind of stuff. So that's the thing. But for the other ones, it's not like I knew every cutlery on the table. But the trick to that is to wait.
And watch.
And watch.
Observe.
Observe what others who know better than you are doing.
That's
and you
smart.
do the same. So in that regard, I didn't have to goof. You know?
I like the idea of letter of credence, which you also described in this book, where if you go to a new country, you have to present to whoever.
Either the king, or if the king is the head of that nation, or the president. Usually where you have a president and a prime minister, is the president you present it to.
The first time for you was Hungary.
Hungary.
How did that feel?
Honestly, I thought I would feel like, oh, but I didn't. I realized that I have this nature, that I take my assignments as what it is.
As they come.
As an assignment. And I walk in the grace of God, honestly. So I don't feel the pressure or any overwhelming presence. And then my father brought me up to be able to look anybody in the face and speak to them, but we speak with respect. So whether it's somebody junior to me or older, I just still speak with respect. But I'm never in awe of anyone. It's only God I'm in awe of.
Fantastic.
So when I go to those settings, I just find out that it's like I'm on autopilot. I just do my duty and I move. It was.
Well, thank you very much. So much here. Highly recommended. Anybody who wants to understand the dynamics of diplomacy and so on, definitions, required skills, required mindsets, how it works, how it doesn't work, everything, all in here. Mastering Diplomacy. Thank you for sharing this with us.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for joining us on Channels Book Club.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really grateful.
It's an honor to have you.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that. Get yourself a copy of Mastering Diplomacy. Read it and let's know what you think about it. This is where we have to end the show today. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.